Hey, Green Machine friends and fans of fun. Hey, we're gonna do our drawing for our Captain Marvel Collector Core, which we've had people that have come into the store and entered the drawing. I think it was every $30 purchase you got to enter the drawing, and we have quite a few people. So thank you for the support. And then we'll do our weekly comic book reviews, and we also need to plug our event. So, anyways, we'll start with the drawing first. I'm gonna spin the wheel and not look as I'm drawing. I'm not looking. The winner is... Oh God, a bunch of people stuck together. Mel Lim. Mel Lim has won.
Okay.
Oh, did I just flash his phone number on there?
Flash that phone out. I will block it out. We're good.
My bad.
I will make the note.
Sorry about that, but Mel Lim, you have won the Marvel Collector's Core Captain Marvel box. So that's nice. And then we should do our reviews. So, whoa! It's like magic. I teleported to my seat, and now I'm wearing my glasses. It's the magic of movies. All right, so we tried to call Mel and let him know that he won his award, but he didn't have a voicemail box set up.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna try for another day and keep calling him. If he does not answer, I mean.
yeah, next week we might do another drawing. 'Cause I don't know. We'll give him a week. So we'll keep trying. And then we need to plug our event. So our event is in just a few short days. We have, oh my God, we have a beer vendor.
Yes,
That's wild. So we're going to have a bunch of comic shops come through. We have a beer vendor. We've started setting up. We are going to have some food vendors. There's just going to be a ton of cosplayers. The 501st is coming.
Yes, we have some confirmed.
501st is coming. Rebel Legion is coming. We have a lot of stuff going on. I'm doing the panels. Yeah.
Cosplay contest.
Yeah, McRae is going to be there. Michael Todd Gallaglass. Oh, yeah, Lawrence Ararte is going to be there. Michael Todd Gallaglass is going to be there. We've got a really good lineup. So I'm pretty excited. So, yeah, that's Saturday and Sunday. It starts at noon and goes till 8 p.m. on Saturday, and then 11 to 7 on Sunday. And it will be in the Rasputin in our mall, where Rasputin used to be, I guess, because they're not there now.
Green Machine's hangout spot.
That will be our con location. It sort of reminds me of a 90s rave with how gutted Rasputin left that place. But we will have it looking quite a bit better by then,
Yeah.
I hope.
We got a lighting curtain that's gonna come in and jazz it up.
Yeah, we're gonna jazz up the place, so we'll see. In the meantime, we got to get to these reviews, and God, what a good week for comics.
Yes.
I mean, we say that quite a bit these days. That summer's been great to us, but we're gonna start it off with, well, I mean, it's just pretty much the elephant in the room because we know Rosenberg's run has come to an end, and I liked Rosenberg's run, and I think you should all get on Twitter and give Rosenberg some respect because people have been like going deep on him, and he's like I don't get the hate. Like, I knew that Hickman was taking over. Like, I did exactly what I should have done with that run, and I think he did a great job. So now we're on the time of Hickman, and we need to talk about House of X #1 because, oh my God, there is so much to talk about. So, we should preface this by saying that we're going to talk about the story, and there is going to be spoilers in what we're talking about. And if you're one of those people that really can't hang with a few spoilers, like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to skip ahead because
Spoiler alert.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
yeah, there's no way to talk about it #1 without spoiling some of the story. So, and there's so much to discuss with this, quite a bit. So, okay, what do we know? We know Xavier's back. He's got Wi-Fi Cerebra on his head. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, I think that's what we're calling
Yeah. It looks very funny. It's given him a giant head, which for Professor Xavier, you make his head bigger. It's like, check out the big brain on Charles. like that. That's how I feel that this plays out. More importantly, we've got Krakoa in play. If you don't know what Krakoa is, it's the living island. It's been featured in other X-Men works, but I've never seen it done this way. So what's going on is there are flowers growing around the earth, and these flowers in particular have certain effects. The big thing is that if humans take some of these flowers in pill form, there is 3 things that will occur, and they explained it in here, and I'm trying desperately to find it real fast. Human drug L, human drug I, human drug M. L will give you 5 years of your life extended. I will give you a universal antibiotic that is a super drug for humans, that is stronger than any antibiotic ever created. And then M, the flower produces a drug that will cure all diseases of the mind for humans. Now, Professor Xavier is offering this to the nations of the world if they choose to see Krakoa as its own nation and honor its rights as a nation. Now, what does that mean for mutants? Well, the flowers growing for mutants, if enough of them grow in one place, they create gateways. The gateways can form habitats, and the habitats can lead to the actual island of Krakoa. There is a central hub, and basically it's a teleporting flower gateway, is what it is, and it's really, really cool. So they take some diplomats and they sort of explain what's going on, and the diplomats have been instructed to agree one way or another, and some like it, some don't like it. Meanwhile, there is another thing going on with a group that is designed to sort of protect the human species that is floating around the sun in the head of a sentinel, which is really awesome to see. I can't quite remember their name. I need to look it up. It's called... and you know, I should know this because I think I've seen this group before, but it has to do with with Forge. It might actually be called Forge. But it's basically a group that saw that humanity had 10 years to live before the last virus was spread. Only 10 years. Until, not to live, but to be the dominant species until mutant kind outnumbered them and took over. Now they see that the virus has killed off a lot of mutants, but it's still only given them another 10 years. So it's 20 years until humankind, the way they see it, is subservient to mutants. So that's a big thing, and it's called the Orcas Protocol. That's what it is, the Orcas Protocol. Meanwhile, there's other protocols. There's the... I'm trying to see, they cover damage control, which involves Scott Summers at one point, and they even cover the Omega level stuff, and they define it pretty intimately. Like I've never seen it defined quite that well, and it's kind of interesting to see. Magneto's in it, and Magneto is sort of explaining the ropes to people, and so it basically consists like this: Krakoa is going to exist as a sentient nation. They will give these pills to mankind and let them synthesize them and run with them as they will, as long as they recognize the mutant nation. And in exchange, well, mankind can never go to Krakoa. And that's one of their rules. Never. They can go through the hubs. They can be teleported to the different habitats. The habitats are cool, and they're not limited to any type of thing. There's like underwater habitats. They cover everything. Elevated habitats. It's really cool to see how this is working. But it's created a sort of nation that can put tendrils in other nations. Is what's weird, and that's how people are gonna see it, and that's probably where the problem comes from, right? So meanwhile, they're doing that. They're sort of gathering up the mutants to try and take a lot of them to Krakoa, and then there's one other thing that is really, really cool that they're doing with this book, and I really got to compliment Hickman for this. So there is a language, a mutant language that looks like a series of glyphs, like square glyphs, and only mutants understand it. More importantly, it is implanted into all mutants through telepathy so that they understand it inherently when they become mutants, and that nobody else gets it. And this language is imprinted in all of like the book, and clearly it's like hidden messages that we don't quite get. So it's really cool to see that. Like, I like what they've done. The art is so on point. The story is amazing. The Fantastic Four have a cool cameo in this. I had a really, 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 really good time with this. It's House of X 1 of 6. I can't wait to see more, and I'm saying that as someone who has been really critical of mutant stuff. I had a great time with this. It was an honest to good showing, and more importantly, it's just this big brain on Charles. Like I just want to yell that. I feel like it's so.
Make him seem more brainy and grow his head. Double the size.
Let's just make him seem about as nerdy can be. I know. Like, oh, I love it. I love his new look. It's funny. And if you haven't seen, there's a Scotty Young variant that has his head drawn gigantically, and it looks perfect. So, yeah. House of X, I got to tell you, I think this is our pull of the week, and you need to go pick this up. We only have so many copies. We ordered a few more because we kind of see what a big deal this is. Well, I mean, we knew what a big deal it was anyways. We ordered quite a bit to begin with, but we've ordered more. It's really awesome. Really awesome. I really think you got to read this. Even if you're not a Mutant fan, you might be on board after reading this. Hickman, you've got all my attention. Next is the history of the Marvel Universe, and oh god, I didn't know I needed this, but I totally did. So this takes place in the future where Reed Richards is Herald of Galactus. Galactus has devoured most of everything, and on top of that, the universe is dying. There's a few particles left, but almost nothing less. And Reed knows that Galactus is going to die, and Galactus knows that Galactus is going to die, and his death is going to create a new cosmos for Reed to live in and everyone else to live in. So that's basically what's happening. So Reed asks Galactus, he says, my memory's slipping a bit. Can you tell me the history of everything? And oh God, does it go into great deal about the Marvel history. It explains chronologically. Keep in mind, not chronologically by us, by our standards, and how we've come to learn these things. Chronologically by the Marvel Universe. So you've got things that come into play first, like the Watchers come into play real early, the Tribunal comes into play real early. Like it goes through every single thing. Then it gets to like the cosmic, it gets to the Eternals, it gets to the Norse gods, it gets to the first Inhumans, it gets to Ulysses Bloodstone and Selena Gallio, you know, the first mutants and the first people that lived eternally, I guess.
So we get a lot of people in the store that just watched a movie, Marvel something, and they come in here and they want to dip their toes in the Marvel universe. Is this the book?
I would say this is a good book if you want to know the history. Like we had somebody today asking us about the Marvel history, and this is absolutely a good book to read on that. It goes into like vampires. It goes into Fin Fang Foom. It goes into the old Arthur Pendragon comics, the cowboy comics. And it does it all like really, really chronologically by Marvel standards. So it was cool to see. It doesn't quite get to the comics we know in this day and age, but it's edging up there. And I'm not sure how many issues this is. But this is the stuff that I didn't really know all that well, and that I definitely needed to brush up on. So I really appreciate this. So History of the Marvel Universe, if you want to know the chronological history of all things Marvel, you need to go out and pick up this book. It was actually really cool. The art, I mean, I was kind of on the fence about the art, but I did have a darn good time with it. So yeah, go check this out. Next is StarCraft Survivors, and well, I don't know. I didn't have big hopes with it going in. Well, okay. Let's break it down. It's the Starcraft universe, and basically a Zerg creature is sort of manipulating. I think it's a Zerg. I need to brush up on my Blizzard. But is sort of manipulating a human and trying to implant a human in human society as a spy for them. And that's basically all it is. It's the usual, hey, you're a spy and you're caught between your morals and helping your own kind, and at the same time, whatever the Zerg is holding over your head. So yeah, it's a story. If you really need StarCraft Blizzard comics, if you really need Blizzard comics or video game related comics, you can't go wrong with it. But the art to me felt a little generic at times, and the storyline was real generic. There's nothing unique about it. But, you know, it's kind of something that we've come to expect from video game comics. So, yeah, that's pretty much what you get.
That's pretty wild.
It's wild. It didn't feel quite right to me, and I'm kind of disappointed in that fact. Because if you're going to tell a story about, like, something expansive like a real-time strategy game, maybe tell it with people that play a little bit like wider range, like tell it with the generals or something else. Like give us more characters. Really, it just zoomed in on a few characters and was more of like a I don't know, foot soldier story. So it didn't super appeal to me, but it is what it is. And we're back. So let's jump right back into it, and we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons Darkened Wish. Now, one thing I like about this is there is the D&D sheet on the back that looks very Rick and Morty from their variants. But it's IDW, and Rick and Morty is something else, I think, is a different brand. But it might still be an imprint of IDW. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the last Rick and Morty.
Okay. So, anyways. But nonetheless, Darkened Wish... these are very typical of the D&D sort of trade paperbacks and comics. So the art to me always is kind of I'm on the fence. It's not the best art, but again, it's not the worst art. So I'm always on the fence about the art. The storyline is, well, it's pretty much typical fantasy. And this one, it has the old group that I think has done the Baldur's Gate stuff. And they're sort of coming back together, and one of them has been turned by a dragon and is sort of serving his purpose. And they've got to deal with that. So that's pretty much the storyline. It sets the stage for a good fantasy story, if that's your cup of tea. But I confess I'm not fully up to date on, well, any of the Dungeons & Dragons stuff. I haven't read hardly any of it, and maybe I should jump in on it. But it was okay. As a fantasy story, if you're looking for your fantasy kick this week, I would say that this is probably a pretty good start. But the Dungeons & Dragons stuff is, there are people that are pretty hardcore fans for this stuff, so, jump in if you like it.
One question.
Yeah.
Is there a blood god?
There is no blood god.
How is this fantasy?
Hey, it's not, yeah. You can't have Conan stuff without a blood god. So I don't know any other fantasy without a blood god. It doesn't exist. No, but if you like the D&D stuff, you'll probably be perfectly at home with this. If you like fantasy, you'll probably be perfectly at home with this. It was a pretty good show. Yeah, no blood god, sorry. So if you need a blood god in your story, that's not the book for you this week. Next is Dial H for Hero, and I really, really love this story. I don't think I've hidden it. It's been pretty good. It has totally taken off in this one. In this one, we learn that there is a hero verse. And in the hero verse, heroes are born. And they see heroes as they're walking through the hero verse. And some of them are just, they're still sort of formless. They haven't, been fully, born, I guess it said. And on top of that, the hero verse exists just outside of the Speed Force, which is kind of cool. It's on the outside of it. And on top of that, while they're dealing with all this Heroverse, it's super surreal. There are times where they're climbing out of the panels, climbing across the panels, breaking the panels. It was really awesome to see. So I gotta tell you, if you haven't been on board with this Dial H for Hero stuff, it's great. And it's just the perfect comic for, I think, a young adult. I would love people reading this. It's got, plenty of good hero cameos. The art is so insane. Who is doing the art for this? Do you know? It's Quinones. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. But Sam Humphries is writing this, so that makes sense. That's why it's so good. But Dial H for Heroes, go pick this up. Dial H for Hero, go pick this up. More importantly, they're doing something. A whole bunch of people in a certain city tied to Superman might suddenly become heroes. So yeah, they're doing really cool stuff with this. Yeah, go check it out. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Archie versus Predator 2. So I gotta tell you, as somebody who did not read Archie versus Predator 1, I was a little confused. I gotta tell you, let me start you there. I was a little bit confused, but it seems as though their world is completely destroyed, and yet somehow, and their Archie can't speak because he's actually an alien somehow. I'm not sure how that works out. Meanwhile, they stumble into, it looks like they go into another Archie world, where, who's the guy, Dalton, the nerdy guy? I think his name is Dalton. Dalton has bought a Predator helmet under the guise of something else. He bought it off eBay. He thought it was something else. And it's basically his Halloween costume. He throws it on, and it starts doing weird stuff. And he's like, wow, you get some good bang for your buck when you buy off eBay. So the people who are in the Archie versus Predator universe, they found their way into a different Archie universe, and then Dalton has accidentally signaled the other Predators. Yeah. So they're gonna show up.
And they're universe jumping too.
Yeah, their universe. There's no explanation for it. They basically get into a car, drive off, and wind up in another Riverdale.
Okay.
Zero explanation for how that works.
We have to subscribe to the whole suspension of disbelief. Right?
Yeah, I think eventually they're gonna explain it. More importantly, there's a really cool sort of reference here. There's Memory Lane, and the Memory Lane sign is kind of beat up, and then it says coming soon, a 5,000 luxury retail opportunity from Wade Enterprises. So that's the Mark Wade reference down Memory Lane for Archie. So there's a couple cool Easter eggs in this. The storyline's a little confusing. I'm sure they're going to explain it in a couple issues, but they've certainly set it up. More importantly, the Predators have a Predator dog with them.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of cool to see. So, yeah. So, Archie versus Predator, I don't think it's cookie cutter. It's just a little weird right now is what I'm trying to say. It's not cookie cutter. There's nothing straightforward about it. So it's just a little different. So I can't wait to see where they go with it. I'd say go check it out. It's a #1 if you like Predator or you like Archie. Or maybe don't like Archie. I don't know. You're probably going to see him get killed.
For horror fans, is that a jumping in one?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we're back. And this is, we're going to do Marvel's Epilogue. And this centers around a character named Phil Sheldon, who I think at times references Stan Lee. I think the character is supposed to. I can't remember. I've seen this character before, but I can't quite remember what from. Anyways, he's got a couple of daughters, and he's sort of out on the town at Christmas time. And, you know, stuff starts happening with the X-Men showing up. Banshee shows up. A few other characters show up. And it goes from there. So that's pretty much the story, and it's okay. The big selling point for this, though, is the fact that Alex Ross is doing the art, and the art is, you know, pretty much on point for his style. It's really good looking. Plus, you get to see the X-Men. So that's all you really need to know about this. You should go pick this up if you're an art fan, and if you're an Alex Ross fan, or if you're just a Marvel fan that just has an appreciation for the finer things. You really can't go wrong with this. The storyline was okay. It was nothing to write home about. It was sort of a humans dealing with just weird stuff going on around them involving mutants, and that's pretty much what you get.
So my big takeaway is that Alex Ross.
Yeah, Alex Ross. That's all you need to know. So next, we're going to talk about Jane Foster. And, well, hang on one second. Yeah, Alex Ross. Who's the writer for Marvel's Epilogue? Oh, Kurt Busiek. Okay. Oh, fine. Next is Jane Foster, and this is Valkyrie #1. And if you missed out on the event, so Jane Foster was Thor again during War of the Realms for a little bit, and then that hammer broke. I can't remember what universe that hammer came from, but it broke. And then some gold thing hit her in the hand, and it transforms into weapons, and it's called the All Weapon, which I kind of like that name. More importantly, Jane Foster has taken the role of Valkyrie, so she's pretty much ferrying souls to the souls of the dead. To the I guess it's the Asgard, realm of the dead. So she can go between realms. More importantly, she's sort of learning her powers, and one of them in particular is a sight, where she can see when people are going to die and how soon it's going to be. So it's creepy, but it also sort of works like a spider sense. She's got a lot of powers going on. More importantly, she fights the funniest villains I've ever seen. So one of them is called Blue Streak, and he invested in a whole bunch of suits for his buddies, and they were like pretty much extreme sports guys that ride on rollerblades. And one of them is named Red Line, and you see him off panel, he's like yelling Red Line, Red Line, Red Line, and then he like throws a car. It's hysterical. Like I gotta tell you, I had such a good time with this. Go figure. Jason Aaron is at the helm, along with Ewing, Keifu, and Jesus Aburtov. I'm sure I'm butchering some of these names. But nonetheless, Jane Foster Valkyrie was an awesome read. I gotta tell you, the art was amazing. The storyline was really fun. It's nice to see a new character sort of learning her power set. I had just an awesome time with this. More importantly, she's chasing a sword, is what it is. So she's chasing an artifact to begin with. And I'm not going to tell you who gets it, but it's pretty cool. So Valkyrie #1, go pick this up if you're a Marvel fan. It's a darn good read. If you're a DC fan and you want to dip your toes in something Marvel that's fun, Valkyrie is a good pick. Next is Action Comics, and this centers around who is the mysterious Rose and Thorn. And that's a new character, but they really don't touch on it much. Like, they show a little bit of it. Superman has to deal with some stuff. Meanwhile, more importantly, it's the villains right now that are stealing the show, because we're finding out more about Leviathan, the character Red Mist, who has been hiding in plain sight in the Daily Planet. She's been dealing with stuff. We find out more about her power set. So these Action Comics right now are really, really awesome if you like villains. And this is no different. I will say, it doesn't reveal a lot, but there is a certain new character who I've gushed about that is going to be involved in the next issue. I wonder who it could be. Her name might rhyme with Wyoming. Sort of. Kind of. Does it sort of rhyme with that? It's Naomi, all right? Look, I'm going to spoil it. The next issue is going to have Naomi in it, and it's awesome. So go check this out if you're a Naomi fan. If you're a Supes fan, you really can't go wrong with Action Comics. The art, I'm still kind of on the fence with the art. I never know what to take with this sort of art style. Who's doing it? It's Kudransky, and I think he was the one that was doing Event Leviathan too, which I'm kind of on the fence about that art too. I don't know, but it's Bendis. It's a good showing, so go check this out. Next is Sonic the Hedgehog, and let's talk about this. So there's a virus, not a virus, I think it's a virus. It's a robo-virus, and it is turning Sonic characters into robot zombies. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is Sonic Marvel Zombies is what this is. So if you like seeing Sonic characters become zombies, sort of, robot zombies, then go check this out. I don't know, the Sonic stuff is flying off the shelf right now, so I think if you're even slightly into Sonic, you're going to have a good time with this. Okay, the next comic we're going to review is Justice League Dark. So for this week, Justice League Dark, we dealt with the Lords of Order trying to destroy magic, and we had members of the Justice League Dark tap into chaos magic, and it was really cool to see. But it's sort of bound the spirit of what's his name, Nobu, the spirit of Dr. Fate's helmet has bound him and controlled him. So now they're tasked with the effort of picking a new Dr. Fate, and the old Dr. Fate is not willing to do it. The kid who took over for a few minutes for him is not willing to do it, so it's really interesting to see. More importantly, Justice League Dark might be edging towards their own brand of villains that are being set up for them. And that might have something to do with Lex Luthor's offer. So really, Justice League Dark, it's not the strongest week for Justice League Dark, because I think the last couple of weeks were outstanding. But what I can say is it's a good jumping off point. So go pick this up if you want to dip your toes in some Justice League Dark. Issue number 13 is a great jumping off point for you. Next is Ascender, and I think we discussed this. Like, Descender and Ascender have a really big following, but something about the art does not sing to me, and it's weird because it's like there's not a lot of ink. It's almost like what they do is they do pencil drawings and then they do watercolor over the pencil drawings. And I don't know, something about that is not my jam. I normally do really like watercolors, but not having strong lines, something about it just weirds me out. However, the storyline, it centers around a strange sort of dystopia, fantasy dystopia. So there's science in there. They tap into science fiction, but it's primarily a fantasy backdrop. And they're sort of dealing with like a group that involves a person called Mother. That is a very sort of dystopian, like fascist type character. And it's weird, like at one point they jump off a cliff and wind up on the back of a flying sea turtle. And it goes from there. So if you really, really like watercolors, give Keep in mind, I really like watercolor art, and that's why I think I prefer Pearl. But that watercolor, there's something about that watercolor. I think it's a digital watercolor is what it is. This seems more like just a regular watercolor, so if you like that sort of thing, you would really like this, I think. I don't know, I need stronger lines. I guess that's what it is. The storyline's really cool, though, and I haven't read Descender, so as somebody who hasn't read Descender, I'm a little confused here and there, so I don't think this is the best jumping off point. I think you should go a couple issues back on Descender. But it was still a pretty strong showing. Yeah. So next is a book that I really, really love, and nobody else seems to like it. It's got me down. I can't say that nobody likes it because I was on a panel at Baycon and somebody started gushing about Freedom Fighters, and I was like, oh, thank God. But, so this is Freedom Fighters. This is issue number 7. Uncle Sam is back. He's been resurrected. We found out that Other Man is not... Which Other Man is an evil version of Superman corrupted by the Nazis. And they're not Nazis, they're Ratsies. Gotta remember that. And on top of that, there's Plastic Men, which work like the Gestapo. There's groups of them, and they all have Plastic Man powers, and they basically work like the Gestapo, so they gotta deal with them. But we found out last issue that Other Man is not actually Other Man. It's Cyborg Other Man. Which, I gotta tell you, Cyborg Superman is a much bigger problem at times than an evil Superman, I would think. Well, I don't know. But Cyborg Superman is a pretty big problem. So the real question is, where is Other Man? And is that answered in this issue? No. Not one bit. Not at all.
Draw that out, huh?
But what I will tell you is this was a really good issue. It centers around them being on the run and sort of having to deal with stuff while keeping the Gestapo off their back, and things don't quite go as planned. So I love these kind of stories, and I really love these characters. The Freedom Fighter characters are awesome right now, so I really think you guys should go pick this up. Not enough people do, but it's issue 7. There's 5 more issues left, so there's plenty of Uncle Sam. Yeah. So go check this out. Hear that old glory? He had a wrestling resurrection. He was like, can you hear that? Louder! I loved his resurrection. It was awesome. Yeah, I loved it. He crawled out of the grave and he's like, what do you say? He was like, the fife is playing.
Yes.
I can hear the drums. It's so good. Next is a book called Aliens Rescue. And I did not have the highest hopes going into this story. But it got super weird and cool. Okay. So it centers around a Marine that Amanda Ripley... Was her name Amanda Ripley?
Yeah. Ripley's daughter.
Ripley's daughter. And who was the other character from that story? Zula Hendricks.
Yeah.
Zula Hendricks and Amanda Ripley. So it centers around a character that they resurrected. And his name is Private Brand. So good old Brand went and joined the Colonial Marines. So we get a nice taste of Marine life. And he's convinced that the two of them are dead. And they're not. The events of that last event left them alive. So he's sort of coming to that conclusion. Meanwhile, he's been fighting a different sort of alien on Mars. Did you know there's different aliens on Mars in the Aliens mythos?
So I knew that there were different aliens altogether. And I know Mars is a definite thing. But I did not know.
Yeah, so they are really weird looking. They are bug-like creatures. They look more like Starship Troopers type stuff than anything else. So they go to fight him, and they're doing sort of the Marine work and killing him and stuff. And meanwhile, he comes to find out that he might not have been given the best information. And I'm not going to say more than that. I'm actually really interested in the story. It didn't feel like a cookie cutter story at all. A couple of the other Aliens titles sort of felt like, yeah, okay, the evil corporation's being evil, and yeah, okay, like people are sort of falling for it. This one was a little different, and more importantly, I think I'm more interested in it because it centers around a colonial marine, and us with our backgrounds sort of identify with that sort of stuff. So if you want some really good sci-fi with art that didn't feel as generic as I thought it was going to feel, it actually felt kind of good. Go check out Aliens Rescue. This is a pretty good showing. Who's writing this? Brian Wood, and the artist is Kieran McCown. McCown? Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I never know if I'm pronouncing names of writers or artists right, and if I get them wrong, please Please don't tell me in the comments because I'll just get them wrong next week anyway.
Callan? Or is it like McLeod?
So yeah, maybe. So the next book that was sent to us this week was from Diamond Comics. They sent us Swimmer.
Yeah.
They sent us Swimmer. No, they sent us Swordmaster, and they just munched a bunch of comics. So I don't think it was Diamond. We shouldn't blame Diamond Comics for this. Like, this is clearly a shipping problem.
Yeah.
We should blame UPS. Man, UPS, you got to stop juggling our books. We had a UPS guy come in here a couple weeks back, and I'm not even kidding with you. He picked up a box that has arrows on it, very clear, that say, this side up, careful, fragile, like don't place it on its other side. He picked it up and he did a flag girl spin move with it.
Yeah.
Is it even called flag girls anymore? I think they're just called flags because there are guys that do it now too, right? Color guard. So he did a spin move with like you would with the flag, and then set it on its side, and then proceeded to do it with another box. And my eye twitched so hard I felt like must have looked like Popeye.
Yeah, Steve had to show me the video.
Oh, it was so bad. So, anyways, our UPS guy was back, and he's normally a pretty good guy, but who knows how long he has this box, right? It's probably gone through 20 other people.
Yeah.
So we get some books munched, and one of them this week was Swordmaster. So that's a shame. However, was the storyline good? It was actually pretty good. So if you're going into this one, I have to tell you, it's got Shang-Chi in it, and Shang-Chi is sort of training Swordmaster to be more sword mastery. He's got a relic of a sword. It was given to him by his dad. His dad vanished. He wants to get to the bottom of that mystery. Meanwhile, Shang-Chi, am I pronouncing that right? Shang-Chi? Shang-Chi shows up, and he's got to teach him how to be a proper swordsman. So it's got a very kung fu, like, master and apprentice feel, and I like that. I like that quite a bit. The art is really cool. Like, I have to tell you, what Marvel is doing is Marvel is mashing up manga and anime style art with modern comic art. So modern manga with modern comic art, and it's got a good feel to it. It's really, really cool. So yeah, you need to go check this out. Swordmaster #1. Now, I won't say it's the strongest of the new titles that have come from War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas. I think Arrow was really, really good. However, this is a pretty good showing. No, Wave was another one, right?
No, Arrow is on the shelf right now.
Arrow's on the shelf right now.
Wave was the new character from the Philippines.
Okay, but Wave hasn't had her comic come out yet. So, okay. So Arrow, I think, was the stronger showing, but Swordmaster's still pretty good. I'm not sold on the name. You get a big sword. I don't know that you should be called Swordmaster. You should be called Cloud or Sephiroth. But so yeah, okay. Swordmaster is, I don't know. I don't like his name, but everything else about this comic I really enjoyed. So go check it out. Next is Tony Stark, Iron Man, and well, we need to talk about this. So this is Slott, and normally Dan Slott is really, really good with what he does, but this storyline is still kind of weird. Do you remember how it was weird before War of the Realms, and then right before War of the Realms, they sort of wrapped up the AI stuff and toned it down a bit, and it started to feel like old Iron Man again, and now they've gotten weird with it again. Granted, it has to deal with his brother at the helms of that other company, which is, what's it called? Bane something? Bane Apprises, or Bane, I can't remember the name. Hang on, let me look it up. Banetronics. That's a terrible name for a company. Like, you don't make a company called Banetronics and ever see that it's anything but a front for evil villains. But nonetheless, so he's dealing with that. He's dealing with the fact that he drank alcohol. And more importantly, he's sort of doing very Tony Stark stuff with inventions and stuff like that. But it doesn't feel like the strongest story. It almost felt like filler at times, which is not what I wanted from this title. It got a lot of focus more recently, and then it's kind of falling off again. So I don't know. The cover art is amazing. Like, I never have anything. That's the weirdest thing about these Iron Man titles, is that the strongest part about them seems to be the cover art. Because you look at the cover art and you're like, whoa, that cover art is awesome, and it always is for Tony Stark Iron Man. The writing, which is weird to say about Dan Slott, the writing doesn't feel as strong. So I would say if you're an Iron Man fan, get in on this. if you want to jump in on Iron Man, this is probably not your book. I'm sorry. Go a couple issues back and jump in for that War of the Realms stuff, and then maybe wait an issue. I don't know. I don't have the highest hope for it. One thing I will say about this issue that I thought was really awesome is we get to see a secret robot bar. I didn't know robots had bars, but if you want to see a secret robot bar, that was kind of cool. So, yeah. Yeah, we need... Okay, so... Comics always have cool bars. There's Secret Robot Bar. There's the Bar of Thor's. There's the Oblivion Bar, which is, like, my favorite. I want an Oblivion Bar comic. Like, I mean, maybe I need to write that. Maybe I need to write a story that centers around a magic bar.
There you go.
Maybe that's got to be a thing. Nonetheless, I really like themed bars. Like, you know what? Let's open a Green Machine bar. If the comic shop takes off, then we'll open a comic-themed bar that'll be called Green Machine Tavern.
Oh, God. Someone's going to reference this one day.
Yeah, probably. Anyways, so the next book we're going to talk about is Fearless. And I remember Fearless being a team during Fear itself. I'm relatively sure this was a team during Fear itself. Anyways, so this centers around a bunch of the fiercest ladies of the Marvel Universe. And that's the tagline. And this centers around Captain Marvel, Invisible Woman, Storm, Millie the Model, and Jessica Jones. And I gotta tell you, the Millie the Model story was kind of weird. Like, there's several stories. The Captain Marvel story was cool. The Storm story was cool. The Millie the Model story was like a slice of life with weirdness. It centered around Millie and her rival, which is called Chili. Millie and Chili.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. And they were doing a photo shoot, and yeah, that story didn't feel like the strongest story. But it did stand out. And then it got into a character I haven't seen in forever and a day, and that was Elsa Bloodstone. Yeah, pretty much she's the vampire hunter. She's a very Buffy-esque Marvel character. So I got to see Elsa Bloodstone, and Jessica Jones popped up in it, and they referenced the Scotty Young Babies characters. So this was really cool to see. Like, I had a really, really good time with this. So I liked this Fearless comic. It was just one of the stories was sort of iffy, and I was kind of on the fence about. The rest of it was great. So Fearless number 1. I mean, God, there's a lot of writers and artists tied to this. McGuire, Williams, Thompson, Rowe, Vicueva, Carnero, Rosenberg, and Bonvillain. Bonvillain? I don't know how to pronounce anyone's names. But Fearless number 1, go check this out. It's actually a pretty good showing. Next is a comic I have not read, and I've been meaning to read because people gush about this comic a lot, and that's Redneck. And the trades, they gush about the trades, and I can see why. The art is really awesome. Like, I love this cover. It has this sort of cowboy bar feel in that the Redneck logo, it looks like it's in kind of old style neon. And then there's the wood backdrop, and on the back it says, like, come back real soon. And so the art is gritty, but it's that good kind of gritty. It felt like Deadly Class kind of gritty. It centers around vampires and a vampire hunter who's been trapped. And sort of the vampires are trying to decide what to do. And some people are on the side of the vampire hunter. They have issues and beef with him, and some are not. And so you can see that these vampire factions are kind of warring. So was I totally clear as to what was going on, jumping in 22 issues deep on Redneck? Not quite. But I will say it seemed like a pretty good jumping off point where I didn't hate it. I didn't have a bad time with it. The art was really on point. And more importantly, I really wanted to know more about these characters. Like, there are some super colorful characters. Go figure, I just noticed it's Donny Cates. So that explains why I had such a good time with this. But Redneck, I would say go check this out. The art is amazing. Donny Cates' writing is great. He's clearly built a world where I want to know a lot more about these characters. So go check that out. Okay, so the next book from this week is The Amazing Spider-Man number 26. And this one centers around, well, we had some weird occurrences during the War of the Realms. And I think one of the biggest is Boomerang is now a good guy. And on top of that, he's kind of dealing with the fact that he's helped people and he's saved the world, but some people, still resent him. And meanwhile, he's moved in with Parker, so he's his roommate. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, they get along, they're buddies. It's the best sort of buddy group that we never knew we wanted. So that's interesting to see. Meanwhile, there's some villains that are, I think they're going to fill the role of the Sinister Six, is what it feels like. But they're an all-women cast, and one of them took over for the Shocker, so she's like wearing her uniform, and she's sort of getting the pitch from someone, and the other gal comes up, and I think she's the Beetle, and so she comes up and she says, you know what industry doesn't have a lot of ladies in it? And she's like, well, politics, and she's like, no, organized crime. So she gives her the whole pitch, and it was really cool to see. I don't know, I'm on board for this Sinister Six. I like the direction they're taking it. They're giving it a fun direction. On top of it, it's really cool to see because he's kind of made some people mad over the years, and one in particular is Kingpin. And you really don't want to make Kingpin mad. Like that's not something that's good for your health. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man number 26 is it's a pretty good showing. I had a good time with this, and I on top of that, the art is really, really good. So, yeah, Amazing Spider-Man number 26 by Spencer Walker and Martin. Go check this one out. Next is Detective Comics. And this one, I didn't know I wanted this issue. Like, it's sort of... I was worried it was a little bit of filler, and yet I had a good time. So, the Joker has essentially taken a theme park hostage, and he's given everyone necklaces that if they don't sort of do his bidding, they'll gas them, and then kill them. And
yeah.
Jokerify them pretty much. Meanwhile, so he's put the call out, and Batman has showed up, and he's frustrated with the Joker, but he's got to play this game with the Joker because if he doesn't, the Joker will kill everyone in the theme park. So Batman and the Joker go on like a little theme park amusement park date. Aww, it's so cute. They even go through the tunnel of love.
Do they?
I had such a good time with this issue. It's pretty much Joker being Joker. He's like, look, okay, so the universe has broken off and is flying towards doom. So people are going crazy. I get Lex's plan and everything, but I'm just gonna be the Joker. So I had a good time with this. It's Tomasi, Monk, Mendoza, and Barron. Had a really good showing. The art was outstanding. Granted, I'm a DC fanboy, and everybody knows that I'm a Batman fanboy, but I had a really good time with this. I think it was meant to be filler, and yet it was really kind of fun.
Nice.
So, yeah, go check it out. There's even a big reference in this. Yeah, Tom Hanks' big reference.
Like, do they do the piano thing?
No, but they do. What's the other thing that happens in Big? How does he get...
the card readers.
Yeah, so that's sort of in there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I had a really good time with this. If you like Batman, or you're a DC fan, or you just like Detective Comics in general, this was a great showing. So go check this out.
Does that mean that Big takes place in the DC universe?
I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe. Next is Planet of the Nerds. So if you don't know, the jocks and I guess one nerd. I think was this guy a jock or a nerd at the beginning? I can't quite remember.
I
think he got frozen with them. Well, anyway, so they passed out and they woke up and they're going through culture shock and one of them is like legitimately flipping out. He's like, God, this world is terrible. Cops are stormtroopers now. O.J. Simpson's a felon. Don't even get me started on Bill Cosby. He's like ranting about he's mad about the alt-right, and it shows like a lot of good political stuff that we are dealing with in this day and age, and it's really funny. This story is hysterical. On top of it, it's Randy Elliott, I guess, is the writer. But so this story is wild, and I like it. It's the total fish out of water scenario, but it's like the jocks of our time are now being given a taste of their own medicine in this time, and they're not warming up to it.
No.
But yeah, so that's Planet of the Nerds, Ahoy Comics, and I think other than what's the other title, Wrong Earth.
Wrong Earth. Yeah.
Planet of the Nerds has got to be their strongest line that I've read so far. And each one, I pick it up and I laugh the whole way through. It really does feel like a reverse version of Revenge of the Nerds. So,
I mean, would this not be the actual Revenge of the Nerds?
Kind of. I mean, like, yeah, they've woken up in a world, but I think that this one is more like the opposite. It's like Revenge of the Jocks. because they're sort of building towards like how they get back at people.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
All right.
Either that or they're accepting it. But you have to understand that their big bad is a nerd that froze them and sort of left them in cryogenic states and then went on to build
Which is pretty evil.
company. Yeah. So, like, they're dealing with that. So, I don't know. I've had such a good time with Planet of the Nerds. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I really can't wait to see it. So, yeah. Go check that out.
Good times.
Next is Psylords, as we called it, generic Lantern Corps. And that's what it felt like. And, well, I gotta tell you, it doesn't feel generic anymore. It's interesting.
Oh.
So they come to find out that they were branded and that they were... all their memories have been altered and they've adapted new names, but they found out that their ship was branded. And they meet someone in this that they come from a certain tribe, and that's their sort of like branding, and it's on their head. And meanwhile, they meet someone who's I can't remember what his name is. Like they're a type of war brand or something, the Warlocks or some weird name. But he basically gives them advice. He says you need to band up with people, other groups, because you're gonna need strength in numbers. And we're not taking newbies, is what he says. And so then they go on to deal with that. So it's like space gangs is what it feels like. And they're like, yo, you better click up. So yeah. So that's what happens. And they've got their powers. They're like space gods essentially, and they're trying to figure out what to do with that. On top of that, but I had a really good time with this. So. Valiant, good showing with this Psylord stuff. I really do want to know more. And it doesn't feel like generic Lantern Corps anymore. It feels like something else. And I can't wait to see where you go with this. The Valiant universe is getting wild these days. More importantly, I had somebody in the store the other day who's a huge Valiant fan. And he schooled me on some stuff that I didn't know. Like, I didn't know Turok went back like to the 60s.
Oh, man, yeah.
I had no idea.
I'm like, you think you know some stuff, and then someone will straight up drop some knowledge on you.
Yeah, and that's always the case with comic knowledge. Mm-hmm. Like, to a lot of my friends, I seem like this I don't know what you would call a cesspool of comic knowledge. But
not even scratch the surface.
I'm not even close. Like, as knowledgeable as I seem to my friends, like, I'm nowhere near as close to scratching the surface. And some people really
know their stuff.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, what is it? The wise man will say, I don't know everything, but the fool will say I do.
The fool will say I know everything.
That's what it was. Yeah.
The wise man will be quiet, I think.
Yeah, along those lines. That's exactly what it is in comics, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So next, we're going to talk about good old Donny Cates' Guardians of the Galaxy run, and if you don't know, that is a hand, a bloody handprint. And whose bloody handprint does that look like?
Looks like a little raccoon.
Like a little raccoon. It might be the last ride of Rocket Raccoon. And so the Guardians of the Galaxy are dealing with what's the name of the space cult again? Do you remember? The Life. I don't want to say Life Syndicate because that's the Universal Church of Truth. The Universal Church of Truth. And up until now, the Universal Church of Truth have powered their stuff, and pretty much their message has been life, but the underlying power for their stuff has been death. And that's changed, and I can't say much more without spoiling it, but what I will say is this Guardians Team 1 is pretty strong, and 2 is really cool. I mean, like, it's got Moondragon, it's got Lockjaw, Groot, Beta Ray Bill's on the team, Gamora's now on the team. It's a really, really cool team, and the problems they've been giving them have been awesome. It hasn't been the standard sort of stuff. Like, they tried to stop the resurrection of Thanos. Now they're dealing with the Universal Church of Truth, which is a common theme for them, but I've never seen it quite like this. And on top of that, the art is so cool. Like, it's that cool level of space art that is almost surreal at times, and that's what I'll say. Like, the Universal Church of Truth, their spaceship they're cruising around is like a moving planet, which reminds me of like those old French comics that inspired stuff like
what was it? Valerian.
Yeah, Valerian, but it inspired stuff like the Fifth Element and stuff.
Yeah,
like that's
Star
what
Wars,
this
yeah.
art reminds me of. So you really, really need to be checking out Guardians of the Galaxy if you even remotely like that sort of stuff. There is so much cosmic goodness in this. Next, we're gonna talk. So we need to talk about this. This is Shuri's run, and I had a really, really good time with Shuri's run. My big beef about it was they didn't give her a true villain. They gave her a space bug, which felt a little limp-wristed. And it wasn't, the writing was good, the writing was strong, the characters were super strong. I love seeing all of her powers. Like, she's got some really wicked powers, and they change and develop, involving her ancestors, but they change and develop as the story goes. On top of that, they gave her plenty of flaws, which they were taking powers away, which is the sign of a cool writer and a cool character. But she's sort of reached the end of the road, and I think there's a reason for it. Isn't like Black Panther is going? He's back from space now, so the Black Panther line is continuing back on Earth. So I don't think she's going to be controlling Wakanda anymore. But I think the writer decided that they needed a break, is what it was. But 10 issues was just not enough for Shuri. It was a really fun time. The art was fun. I had a good time with the story. I did want a stronger villain. But that was like my only complaint.
Yep, that was it.
That was it.
I mean, they had some great, like Miles Morales jumped over there too.
Yeah, they had like Miles crossover.
Yeah. Who else? There was a couple other people that popped over. Which, I mean, good on her.
You know, if as an artist you need a break, that's fine. If as a writer you need a break, that's fine. But it still kind of hurt me because this was a really good character and a really good showing. And on top of that, when you get to the end, they leave a nice wrap up. So if you're a Shuri fan and you've been reading this comic and you've reached issue 10 and you're a little brokenhearted, they give you some wise words at the end of it. And I had a really good time with this run. So issue number 10 of Shuri, it's the last one for now. I don't know that means they're shelving her. She's too cool of a character.
Oh, no, yeah.
There's no way, especially with Black Panther coming. The new movie coming. There's no way.
Yeah.
She's going to pop up in something else, I'm sure.
Because one thing he's good at is synergy. So whatever they're promoting right now, I guarantee you're going to see down the road.
Yeah. And they're, okay. We need to talk about this book, but it's a really hard book to talk about because I don't want to spoil it for you. Because we all know this is going to be a deep story, and that's Sean Murphy and Matt Hollingsworth's Batman Curse of the White Knight. So this takes place after White Knight, the White Knight, the events of White Knight, the comic, which is one of our best-selling trades, where the Joker goes sane, and they named him Jack Napier, which it wasn't. His name was Napier, like in the '80s movie, wasn't it?
So yeah, that's where it came from.
Okay,
it was from that Tim Burton. Yeah.
So they named him Jack Napier, and meanwhile this comic establishes certain things. So we come to find out that Jack Napier and the Joker, maybe they inhabit the same body, but they're definitely two different people, and the Joker makes that clear. So this centers around him. It starts off with him being in Arkham, and it also talks about some of the history of Gotham, and a certain sword. Who do we know that has a certain sword?
Oh, let me see. I'm going to go with Asbats?
Yeah, Asbats, Azrael. And you could tell, if you had seen some of the variants for this, of course the story centers around Azrael, and you would think that it might play out the way you think it does, but I'm here to tell you it seems like it's a little different. So that's all I can tell you without spoiling the entire thing. Go check this out. The mystery is cool. They flesh out a little bit more of their version of Arkham. It's the typical Batman sort of problems, but it's not the same kind of Batman. Like this Batman, there's a lot more of a human element to this character, I feel like, at times. So anyways, go check this out. Batman Curse of the White Knight Book 1 is a really, really strong showing from Sean Murphy. And then the last book this week is Web of Venom Funeral Pyre, and this one centers around Mania, which if you don't know, Mania lost her symbiote, but she has demonic powers. She has really, really cool powers where she can summon, I guess she calls them Hell Demons or Hell Beasts. She can summon Hell Beasts. More importantly, like Hell protects her because they need her to serve them, essentially. So it was really cool. It puts her on a collision course with Carnage because Carnage is trying to gather up too much the marrow of all the different people who held the symbiote. So it puts him on a warpath with Mania, and I can't say much more without spoiling the storyline. They're gonna fight. That's all you need to know. And on top of that, Mania. If you haven't seen Mania before, she's a really, really cool character, and I liked the look of her symbiote back in the day too. So go check this out. Good showing. Web of Venom Funeral Pyre. And more importantly, you need to read this anyways because you got to get warmed up for Absolute Carnage. Trust me on this, because that Absolute Carnage stuff looks amazing. And yeah, that's it for this week's reviews. Do you want to do the drawing?
Let's do the drawing.
So these are for posters. Oh man, I feel like I have to burp all the time.
I've gotten really good at this.
Oh, thanks, man. You and your baby.
I know.
153.
153. That's gonna be Mel Kane.
Mel Kane. Dude, a Mel win?
Mel did win, but it was a different
Mel
Lim.
Lim.
Yeah.
Mel Lim, don't forget you won your Marvel collection. 275. So Mel Kane, you won a poster.
Aaron Johnston.
Aaron Johnston, you won a poster, and then the last number is 186.
Nope.
Nope, can't do that one. Sorry, they didn't pick up your stuff. 106.
Haha. Altamista.
Altamista, you won a poster. So, okay, that's our show for this week. A lot of good comics. Don't forget to come check out our con this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And that's all we got for you.